What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, you guys are having a great week, and a great weekend. Great trading week last week. So, you guys know I just wanted to come on here and do weekly market check downs and breakdowns, and just break down the charts. I know it's been a while since I've been on here, so apologize for being away consistently, but um, a lot of changes going on in my personal life, so just happened to cause me to be away from the charts for a long time. So hopefully everybody's doing well. Um, and yeah, so let's go ahead and hop on this. So again, first things first, if you don't know me, my name is Blake, aka Breaks Trades. I've been a day trader for a long time now. It's been about 10-ish years where I've been studying charts and learning how to kind of mash this thing called the markets. And so over that time, been able to really learn how to trade over a few different markets. And the market that I trade right now mostly is currencies and indices. So anything from the FX markets to the currency market, or to the indices, and really just anything that has a pulse, right? And um, so what I want to do now is just kind of start with the dollar index and get a better understanding of where that's at. And once we figure out that, we can figure out again where the market's going to go for the rest of the week. So, um, 95, just low. So really, if we take a look at the weekly time frame, and I always start in the weekly time frame because the markets are, really run from week to week. And so, if I take a step back and look at the weekly time frame, I can get a better understanding of where the markets are going to go, or where I think they potentially might head to, right? And so, over the past honestly year and some change, we've really been stuck in this consolidation since like June of last year. So it's been about a year of price action. Markets are just chopping, right? They're accumulating on the bigger picture. But in the smaller time frame, we can, on the smaller, I guess, view, we can get a better understanding where we think the market's going to go this week. So you can see here again, even though the markets have been chopping up, we have been running for liquidity. So I'm looking at old highs that we could potentially take. And so if you see any type of old highs, again, I want to see if the market can come back up and test these levels. So weekly, again, even though we're chopping, I'm asking myself, I don't expect us to break out of this anytime soon. Even though it does look like we started to find a floor to this, we saw that we came and swept this out and then have started to reverse over the past like few months. This year is pretty much starting to form a reversal. So we could keep running up. The long-term view on this, I have no idea, right? This could chop and go lower. It could chop and run higher. I did think that initially the dollar is going to go lower because of the situation that we're in, where we came up and ran out the highs, broke structure, and this is just a chop before we run up, take a high, and then go back down. But anything could really happen, and I'm not trying to predict the long term. I'm just trying to figure out what could happen in the next week. So ideally, I want to see if the market can come back up and take this high. So that's going to be my target for this week. Can the dollar get to here? And so if I'm bullish on dollar, then I should be bearish on the indices. So we'll run through those really quickly. You can see here that there's been a lot going on, just a ton of chop. But if you look at the weekly time frame in anybody's book, you can kind of see this is bearish, right? We came up here, set our initial high. We see the market is, if I get rid of this, you see the market set the initial high here. We came down, broke structure, traded back into this old imbalance here. Right. And so now we're on our way down. So this looks very bearish in pretty much anybody's opinion, So this is the weekly time frame of what happened last week on Euro. So this is again Euro futures. So I expect the market to want to continue to run down. But yeah, obviously we gotta see what could potentially happen here. So what am I looking at in the weekly time frame? We came back up, tested consequent encroachment. We did form this huge daily imbalance right there. So I want to see if the market can come back up, retest the zone, pick up some orders, and then potentially break out of this. We have been in chop for the last few months, so I need to see this break before I actually fully commit to the idea that's going down. But based on what we're seeing here, this should potentially run lower. I think the area, the target that I'm going to be watching for is going to be right there. That 1.1091 level, that is going to be what I'm looking for. In the long term. Actually, two levels. That 1.1418 level, and then this level here, the two main levels. Why these two levels? Because this is just a low. This was the initial low that was set, and we've pretty much been trading between this low and really, I mean, to be honest, this high. It came back up here, but then it traded immediately right back down. So that's at our initial low. That's at our initial high. And we've pretty much been ranging in here. So we swept this. So I want to see if we can take this low, but really long term, I think I want to see the markets hit this level, that 1.1088, only because that trend line. So if we look at if we look at pound, it should be the same exact thing. I'm going to go to GBP USD here because it looks a little bit cleaner. But yeah, I mean, it's chopped, but you can start to see that we did set an initial high here and really have failed to break that. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. Same thing here. Again, came up, set an initial high. You might see this as kind of like a triple top or a rejection where we came up, ran that old high, set the low there, and then are on our way down. The market's really fitting to get above that level. But, again, this is chopped to me until we get a clean higher time frame level. You can see on the lower time frames that we are starting to run lower, though. It's just hard to call a longer time frame, higher time frame direction on this. But I do ultimately want to see this go lower. Okay, MNQ. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet tonight. MNQ. We had a huge Friday. We came back up and had one of the more massive like sell-offs. I think it was 1,100 points in a day. Huge day. And I took a trade, actually. I was going to take a trade on Friday, and I remember getting to the terminal at 9:30 and seeing this. I was like, oh, we're seeing that the market had already ran up and took this out and failed. It didn't fail to really take out the high of Asia, but on ES it did. And so go to ES really quickly. I remember looking at this and I was saying, okay, we're probably not going to go back up there. But then also it was Friday, so I really didn't want to mess around with it. But, it happens. You miss those days. But that's a very clean, divergence play right here where the market, took out these highs and then ran lower. And same thing on YM. It ran up there once. This has got to be the 9:30 open. 8:30 news, and then the 9:30 open right there, and it just sold off. It continued to run lower and lower and lower. So I was like, all right, well, whatever, you just missed it, and that's okay. I mean, these sell-offs happen. It's gonna happen. Tomorrow might shoot right back up. You can't have the fear of missing out on positions. But again, when the market failed to take this high and it took that high on, oops. Yep, sorry. So it took out this high. It did fail to take out this high, but YM it did. That's just SMT divergence. Again, if I put these things side by side, hopefully I can put these things side by side. Yeah, I don't. Whatever. But you can see that we failed to take out that buy side liquidity. Asia's high. right? And then the buy side there. So now obviously YM again ran up, took this high out, took out the London high. It took out the high, it's Asia, and then it came one more time, took out the high of New York right at 8:30, and then just sell off for the rest of the day, huge drop. We dropped from like 51,000 all the way down to 50,000. So yeah, like 1,600 points on the YM. It was pretty much a crazy day, probably one of the worst days this year in terms of sell-offs. This was 100 points. It wasn't actually as bad here. Oh no, it dropped like 200 points in a day. So yeah, it was a pretty bad day. Pretty much sold off everything that we had done over the past 2 weeks, which makes sense. I was actually looking for the markets to get some type of sell-off. Like I thought we were just shooting up way too high, way fast. And so even though I'm still bullish long term, obviously it's the market for that. I want to see if we could take this level here. So if we think about this huge rejection, we didn't technically break structure, but we did disregard this order block here. So I want to see if we can maybe potentially take this low out. Maybe we trade back in, maybe we form a fair value gap right here. Again, with this high, I wouldn't be surprised if we just chop around on Monday because of this. We come back up here and then take out these lows. I don't think this is a long-term play. And honestly, with NASDAQ, I've been trading more, looking more at the daily setup than anything else, more so than the like long-term plays. Just because I know the market is going to be more prone to want to climb higher. But it always does this, right? It sells off just to get, it's just playing a game of where's the money at. So looking here to see if we can run and take that low. And if I look at ES, I bet we didn't take did we? Yeah, it's divergence actually. So ES took this low. Oh, it's just shy. And yeah, so I think those are the three things that I want to look at for ES again, or NQ. Same thing here on ES. Again, I want to see if potentially we can get down lower. I want to see what happens if we sweep these levels there. So that 7,353 level on ES, and then that 7,332 level. I think we're probably going to do that. Even if we don't stay below here long term, like this just looks too clean that the market wants to come back down there and grab some liquidity, right? So somewhere in there. Same thing with YM. It looks like, this is pretty much a market maker sell model. So we came up here, ran out this high, and you always have to watch whenever we fail to get above the previous day's high, right? This is essentially, if I go down a smaller time frame, this is essentially a market maker sell model, right? So you can see we consolidated, manipulated, took out the high, and then immediately went down. So what do I think is going to happen here? I think we're probably going to run a little bit lower today. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down and take these lows there, something like that. That'd be really interesting. So yeah, so not really here. I know with NASDAQ and the three indices, I've really been taking these trade by trade and day by day and looking for a proper setup as they happen. There was some really good setups last week. I know I haven't been as active in the chat, but again, if you guys are using what I've taught, again, the idea here, we ran up above this high, boom, consolidation, manipulation, took out that liquidity level, then dropped. Same thing here, consolidation, took out yesterday's high, and then immediately gave up the ghost right around 9:30, 8:30, right? The market opens up here. We immediately just run lower. So yeah, same thing. I think that happened a couple of times last week. So yeah, I mean, the setups are always there. They just play out. Again, you might have to look more for your daily power of threes and your like intraday sessions than actually looking at the long term. But knowing that the long term bias is bullish, it kind of helps a little bit. So again, that's really what I'm looking at and looking for. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Stay locked in. I'm kind of getting my feedback for being away from the past month or so. So hopefully you guys find some value in this, and we'll be back on more with some breakdowns. So peace. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Before I let you guys go, I guess I should probably figure out market projections. So yeah. Um, Again, just to summarize things, we're trading back up into this old fair value gap. Want to see the market run lower in there, and then pretty much the same thing on ES. We left a huge imbalance there, which I think we're probably going to run back into. So at least trading it back up into this initially, and then taking out these lows. And lastly, again, same thing on YM. I will look at gold really quickly because I know that's always a question. G6. But gold looks like it's going to sell off too. And that kind of mimics what we're seeing on Euro. So I wouldn't be surprised if I get rid of everything here. Wouldn't be surprised if gold comes and attacks that right there. So looking to see if we take that. All right, cool. All right, guys, let me let you go and peace.